Hi, this is Tim of Watchbox on assignment with Europa Star Magazine at SIHH 2019, and we are at Audemars Piguet, the watch everyone is talking about and the entry-level point in the collection. This is the code 1159 self-winding or automatic. 41 millimeters. You can see the watch is in white gold. So far the models are only in white gold or rose gold. You can see the detail of the case back. It has a new movement, caliber 4302, 70-hour automatic. You can see it features a Gyromax style free-sprung balance and a full bridge, 22-karat winding mass. The most interesting details of the watch are the case profile, as you can see, evacuated with a combination of satin finish and polished bevels on the flanks. There's also a geometric cut to the center barrel, which has some echoes of the Royal Oak. Although the bezel as well as the case back are rounded, the mid-case is rather distinctly faceted. You'll also note there's a distinct dihedral to the crystal itself, and the crystal is actually inflected and dipped at its center, so it flares at its sides. It's a unique look. Of course, the dial, extravagant, lush, somewhat simplistic, but nicely executed with all applique white gold quarter Arabics and indices, featuring a unique rounded polished baton-style hand with a loop-style counterweighted needle seconds. All of the dial furniture at the head of the watch, the Audemars Piguet signature, is now electro spark eroded for precision, and the watches do feel substantial in the hands and nicely finished. I think ultimately seeing them on the wrist will be the acid test. I would say the strongest point of the watch is without a doubt the case shape, the sculpting of the lugs, the evacuation of the lugs, and the dihedral of the crystal. I think the most contentious part is going to be the design of the dial. Now, this particular dial in black is doing me no favors, so I'm going to move on to other cases and other metals. And we're back at AP looking at the code 1159. Now, this is the self-winding or automatic right here. This one's a little bit more camera friendly. The dial features an immense number of lacquered layers and a clear coat on top, all hand finished to create the lush appearance that you see here. The dials all come in lacquer or enamel depending on the price point of the model. All of the dial furniture is applique, and you can see it's a handsome red gold, nicely consonant with the case itself. This dial better displays the depth of the watch's face. You can see from the chapter ring or rayhawk down to the dial, it is a substantial drop, and the cambered sapphire, easily seen from 6 o'clock, is inflected or dipped at its center. You can also see that the rose gold has a wonderful three-dimensional quality about it. I actually think that the watch works better in rose gold than it does in white, in particular because the dial, quite simply, is easier to read, and the contrast factor between the rose and the white is more elegant. But this is the 41 millimeter code 1159. You can see the pin buckle.
The ends also,
the basic Audemars Piguet dress watch, the new era at Audemars Piguet, in addition to the Royal Oak, not in lieu. Now this is the Audemars Piguet code 1159 self-winding. It's the automatic, 41 millimeters in rose gold. Another black lacquered dial. I should mention that these lacquered dials involve 8 to 12 individual applications with a final hand-buffed clear coat. You can see the watch features a black dial in lacquer and the same beautiful inflected and dipped crystal that the entire line exhibits. The crown is a robust piece, and the case is arguably better executed in rose gold, where the highlights of satin and polish show up better than on the white gold. The timepiece with a black lacquer dial heel and all applique rose gold dial furniture. It's a very handsome watch with a very strong look, especially in the case band. Code 1159 self-winding. I think there's a little bit of a mismatch between the strength of the case and the details of the dial, but the watches are far better in person than they were in the press photos, and you're going to have to take my word for it until I can show you these in watch reviews. But the case is the highlight. I'm not sure the dials can keep up, but I believe the perpetual calendar with a venturine is going to make up the difference. That dial is very strong. The Audemars Piguet code 1159 chronograph in rose gold. Now, distinct from the self-winding, which featured a black dial, you can see this one actually features a lacquer dial in blue, which makes for an easier contrast with the white on blue contrasts of the seconds track, as well as the tachymeter outboard, a sporty touch for this dress watch. Rose gold accents, and you can see a different blue, more of a navy blue used for the sub-registers themselves. The dial is glossed, the sub-registers are matte. The watch features an off-centered date between 4 o'clock and 5 that doesn't break up the index pattern of the dial. The case band is strong, you can see all the action on the chronograph side. The watch does feature a manufacturer caliber, and I had the 4401 up with the white gold watch, so I'm not going to repeat a case back shot, but this is the blue dial and the rose gold variant at Audemars Piguet 2019. Okay, you can see the code 1159 white gold for both of these, but you can see the lacquer dials, crafted from 8 to 12 layers of lacquer with a final clear coat, do create a very different aesthetic when you see them side by side. So that's the difference between the lacquered black and the lacquered blue in the white gold variants of the new Code 1159. Now this brings us to the end of our trek through the Code 1159 collection. What you see here is the Code 1159 chronograph in white gold with black lacquered dial. You have your choice of blue and black, and the difference is quite striking. When you compare them side by side, the blue watch is distinctly different in tone and color. Here's the blue. You can see that it's subtle, but it's evident. And here's the black. The black is simply glossier. It's more powerful. It has more of a void-like appearance. I would say of the two, the blue is definitely more of our moment, but I would say the black is probably going to be the more enduring design in the long run. This is Code 1159 chronograph, white gold, blue, and black. This is the new titanium 42mm Royal Oak Offshore. This is 26480 Ti. That is the reference. And what sets this apart is that it is the first offshore chronograph for a man to use the Frédéric Piguet 1185-based Audemars Piguet 2385. So it is a much thinner watch, now with an integrated vertical clutch column wheel automatic chronograph caliber. You know the 1185 from service as the Frédéric Piguet in legions of other watches, but the key difference here is that this titanium watch is feather light and remarkably thin for an Audemars Piguet chronograph. It is a completely different aesthetic, no longer a block on the wrist. This takes the watch awfully close to the 41mm chronograph. You can see it is a titanium watch. It features a matching navy blue strap and the mega tapisserie dial in blue with silvered registers. A handsome watch and a slim one. This is the rebirth of the smaller Royal Oak chronograph, 38mm. You can see this is reference 26315. It's an all-new reference that is 38mm in diameter. You can see the timepiece is much wearable than the current 41. It's approximately the same thickness because the movement inside is the same and so is the water resistance, but the timepiece much more compact across the wrist. Every Royal Oak wears about 2 sizes larger than its nominal size, and this one is destined to wear more like a 40, just as the 41 wears as a 43 or 44. This is a great evolution by AP and probably the stealth winner of Audemars Piguet's 2019 novelty sweepstakes. A wonderful watch, and there are several variants. I'm going to show you all of them in turn, but this is the new 26315 ST 38mm Royal Oak chronograph. Now we continue our journey through the Audemars Piguet 26315 38mm chronograph collection. You can see several different styles are available, and the timepiece featuring everything you expect of a Royal Oak chronograph, just much closer to the original 39mm watch that ran from 1997 to 2012. So you can see this timepiece, a perfect fit for a wrist, in my opinion, under 15 centimeters circumference. This is a combination of silvered registers with a ruthenium gray base. You can see there's also a rose gold model available with a silver dial and matching silvered registers. And then what might be the warmest edition of the collection, this is silver dial, rose gold case with matching rose gold registers. A truly handsome watch. It feels incredibly massive. For a 38, you're getting all the Royal Oak you bargained for, and all of the Audemars Piguet bracelet, bezel, case, and clasp finish. Nothing reduced except the case size. In some cases, as Mies van der Rohe famously observed, less is in fact more. One of the great evolutions of the Royal Oak Offshore for 2019 is the Royal Oak Offshore brown ceramic rose gold case. The 2019 model represents AP's first ever use of brown ceramic. You can see it features brown ceramic pushers, brown ceramic crown shoulder, brown ceramic bezel. This is reference 26401 OR with a matching chocolate brown, one could almost say Hershey-like dial, featuring rose gold registers to match. You can see rose gold hands, rose gold indices, mega tapisserie with a gloss finish, and then there is a black inner tachymeter that visually unites the dial base with the bezel. You can see the timepiece on a wonderful brown camo strap. It's part of a series of 3 watches that is bowed for the year. This is the first, and this is the breakthrough with the first ever brown ceramic. It's also the only precious metal watch in the Camo collection. You remember last year's khaki dial with green ceramic? Well, this is the green and green. This is your full camo olive drab. You can see the green ceramic is used on the bezel, also the crown shoulder and the chronograph shoulders. The timepiece featuring a classical camo vulcanized rubber strap. In case you're wondering, it uses an AP steel pin buckle. The watch still powered by the AP manufactured caliber 3126 with a 3840 vertical clutch chronograph module. The watch with a 50 to 55 hour power reserve and true to its tactical appearance, 100-meter water resistance and a screw down crown. Now we need one. We've got one for camo, so call this one the Stallone. keeping our movie star theme going, let's call this one the Aquaman. Okay, now this one is blue camo, as you can see, blue ceramic, blue matte tapisserie dial. It has a wonderful hobnail macro sizing in comparison to the traditional rose lathe, or I should say pantograph tapisserie. You can see there is a ceramic shoulder and matching chronograph pushers in blue, and you have a camo blue strap that's a wonderful, almost digicami like. Anyone who's in the US Navy with a new working uniform with the blue digicamis, you know exactly where they got this idea. It's a handsome watch, surprisingly slim at under 15 millimeters thick, 44 millimeters in diameter. This one's steel, 3126 automatic caliber. You've got a steel pin buckle on this. This is the new Audemars Piguet Royal Oak Offshore 44 millimeter collection, Audemars Piguet 2019. And you're looking at the all-new Audemars Piguet Royal Oak Automatic 41 millimeters reference 15550, so the 15550. A change from 2012's watch, principally in the details of the dial. The most prominent change for me and the most logical is the elimination of the automatic script. We didn't need it, we're buying the watch, we already know everything about it. So a handsome and unadorned dial is the first feature. There is a larger Audemars Piguet marquee as well as logo at 12 o'clock, and you'll note that the indices themselves are broader than they had been, with more lume. Likewise, the hands at center just a little bit bolder. The watch is stronger in the lume shot at night because it does feature those broader and bolder indices. The timepiece now with a date pushed out all the way to 3 o'clock. It no longer shares space with an index, so the date window itself has been enlarged. Now you can see the dial features a gorgeous galvanized black. This is the rose gold model, so this is the 15550 OR. We're going to show some of the other models in the collection now. We have a timepiece in stainless steel with a beautiful black galvanized dial, and coming up right behind it you can see the model that is the anthracite or the ruthenium style. This is probably the most intriguing model in the collection. One of the newer dial options from AP. Silver, blue, and black are traditional, but this ruthenium grayscale really expands the watch. The dial flows seamlessly into the body of the stainless steel timepiece. Now we're going to look at one on the traditional jumbo combo of blue galvanized and stainless steel. You can see this is probably the most expressive and dynamic dial. As I move it through the light, it does the most things with the light. It features a traditional pantograph cut dial, so this is a tapisserie with micro textures as well as the macro hobnail. This is probably the most popular model and the one likely to be most in demand and waitlisted at your authorized dealer. Now finally, there is a reference on a strap that we're going to share right here. This is the 15550 OR on a glorious black alligator leather. You can see black galvanized dial, rose gold applique indices, and one more feature I should mention about how the dial has changed. You can see that the indices outboard are pushed all the way to the edge. They are far more pronounced and they are far more functional than on previous versions. If you compare to the 15400, you will see that those hash marks outboard are quite different and do make the watch more readable in any light. Just as unadorned and as ever quite slim, under 10 millimeters thick, a handsome watch, a versatile watch, and at Audemars Piguet, an eternal watch. This is the new Royal Oak Automatic 15550 collection. Are you plum crazy for Audemars Piguet? Well, you will be once you see this plum dial limited edition of 200 pieces exclusively for AP Factory boutiques. The dial is not your traditional tapisserie. It has a metallic luster and radiance that simply explodes in the light rather than glowing warmly. Frosted gold, not just for the case and not just for the bezel. This white gold timepiece featuring an extraordinary frosted finish on every primary surface. Note you don't lose the handsome creases and bevels that have been the hallmark of this model and its ilk for generations. Everything's still sleek, everything's still sharp. You just get that awesome frosted finish, rendering each version of the 200 effectively a piece unique. No two have the same patterns. Inside, Audemars Piguet, caliber 2385, based on a Frederic Piguet 1185 integrated automatic vertical clutch column wheel chronograph. See it and make it yours at an AP boutique near you. Watchbox and Europa Star 2019.